I think it's smart to always reverse engineer where you want to be and where you think you want to be. I think it's a blessing if you actually have it figured out. The younger you are, and if you actually feel like you know, then you're lucky.
Welcome our audience of ourselves to the John and Veronica show.
Or the Veronica and John show, but hey, it's a working title.
It's a working title. We have an audience of Christina here. Thank you, Christina. Um, yeah, this is the first time we're doing this. Christian, thank you for helping us do a test drive. We're also recording this for YouTube and a podcast, so this is going to be exciting. So the genesis
My,
of why the genesis of
hey,
why we want to start this.
hold on there.
Oh
Hold
yeah,
on. My pleasure.
yeah,
My
yeah.
pleasure, John. Thank you for having me. Veronica, glad to be here. On your first episode, you guys, pulled me in, and I'm honored. So thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Cool. And the genesis behind the idea of this show is that I think there are a lot of content out there focused on founders, CEOs, VCs, billionaires. What about the people doing the work, right? Who's actually like making these products, marketing these products, launching these things? And we wanted to interview people who are mid-career and at the pinnacle of their craft, of which I definitely think you are one as well. So that's one of the reasons I thought of starting the show. What about you, Veronica?
Yeah, to add to that, I think on a personal note, it took me actually getting out into the workforce to even realize what kind of jobs actually existed. I remember starting on a production of a TV show for the first time and looking around and thinking like, oh, that's a job. Wait, that's also a job. And industries like tech and entertainment, why is it the cool industries? They all happen to be black boxes. And part of our hope is to learn about what kind of jobs are out there. It's kind of like having a friend in the biz, right? Getting insight into what you actually do every day and how you broke in and maybe how somebody else might too.
And today we have Christian because for a variety of reasons, but I've always been interested in the sales function, so I want to learn more about that. And also, since I teach an esports class, a lot of my students are always just curious about people who did a career switch into esports. So today we're joined by Christian Bishop, Chief Revenue Officer for Method, and also on top of his day job, he's also the founder of esports.gg.
Yeah, I don't know which job to ask you about first. You do so much. I guess for some background, John and maybe some other people listening on this call know a lot about esports. I, Veronica, know less about esports. I wonder if you could just tell me sort of what your esports job looks like minute to minute. Like what does that actually mean? What do you do on a Tuesday?
Yeah, look, glad to fill you in. So for us, at least for what I do at Method, we specialize in MMOs and RPGs. So we're a little different than your traditional kind of esports org that's in a game like League of Legends or Dota or Counter Strike, or in a franchise esport. So we are a bit of a niche, but a really powerful, popular niche. Veronica, like our main game is World of Warcraft, which is one of the most powerful IPs in the world for
Yep.
video games. It's been around a long time. So major nerds over here. But the day to day is I manage our sales team and I work with all of our partners and anything that impacts revenue. For us, we've got nearly 100 creators. We run a ton of events, and we have a global community. So working in different time zones all around the world and having fun every day, driving revenue.
So I have a follow up about that because I've worked in a variety of functions, BD, marketing, product. I just never really dabbled in sales. So could you give me the layman's breakdown? Like, what is the difference between like a chief sales officer versus chief revenue officer? Like, why the change in title?
Yeah, I've always, for me, the CRO role made a bit more sense. I think for my particular role, I think I don't really see the chief sales role as often, but I see sales directors, right, and the head of sales, the titles like that, and they're not far off. I think for me, I'm also involved in the capital raising discussion. I'm an equity participant in the business as well. I'm on board there with Method. I manage the entire sales team as well as driving revenue and managing partnerships with some of our biggest partners in the space. And then I work with all the talent as well. So it's pretty wide encompassing. and it actually expands. We launched a software tech play and a desktop application that I oversee that project too. So I think the when you add that chief title, John, it just justifies putting more on your plate. I think that's what it
I
means,
see.
man. I think
I
that's what
see.
it really is, to be honest with you.
I've known you for a long time now, and I actually just spent some time to actually look through your resume and your LinkedIn to really kind of figure out your background. So it looks like August 2016 was your last month in the traditional sales job. Traditional being not esports. And now fast forward a couple of years, December 2019, that's when you became the CRO for Method, essentially the top WoW guild and one of the top esports guilds, orgs. And especially for a lot of my esports students who are going to go watch this, the YouTube video later or the podcast, how did you even make the career switch? It's really, for some people, it seems like an insurmountable thing to do, but you did it within you did it within a year, but within 3 years, you really catapulted yourself up.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that, man, because we talked about this, and I remember being at your offices in Amazon in Cali, just getting started early on and really working hard, picking your brain and getting your great advice about opportunities and what I need to do. So students, pay close attention to your professor. Okay, listen up. The man knows what he's talking about. Listen up. But for me, it started a lot with confidence in myself and what I was able to accomplish. And I was really successful in corporate America on sales roles and did really well. And then I just took the leap, and actually Hollywood TV pushed me to be like, look, go do something crazy. So I went and jumped on these TV shows, and that got me kind of out of the mold. And I remember my sales director being like, Christian, you're one of our top guys. What are you doing, right? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, look, this is something I want to do. This is a life experience. It's LA. These things don't come up all the time. So I went, they gave me leave. And then I got asked to come back to a second show. So I went, got leave of absence, came back for a second show, asked to leave again. They're like, absolutely not. They're like, you have to choose. What do you want to do here? Do you want to be a reality TV person, or do you want to have a career in tech in this industry? And I was like, honestly, I can get another job. I was like, honestly, I can. And I really felt that way. I told him, I was like, hey, I can get another job, respectfully, sir. But I'm going to go do this. But I understand your position. You have a team to run, right? Like, you have quotas and things you need to hit. So I just took the leap. And then after that, it was about, I don't want to go back. I didn't want to go back to corporate America. I jumped into content, and I saw, and it was a pretty exciting run for me after those shows for a few years. And it gave me an opportunity to just meet a ton of people and just go for it and start my own company to eventually get in esports.
Veronica, do you want to dig into this show? Did you describe this show yet?
I want to dig into so many things. I love it when you're
Sure.
you're talking about making a career change by choosing out of desire instead of choosing out of fear, and believing that you can and believing that you'll figure it out, which is awesome. I was sort of curious, how does that actually happen? Is it all through people? Is it all through relationships? Was it kind of relationships you had built in one industry or friends that you had that really helped you make the initial leap into TV and then the leap from TV into sports? Esports?
I can't even say it was that much of relationships, to be honest with you. I think it was also, honestly, seeing it through. I saw things through in my corporate America gig to a point where I was like number one in the country consistently, quarter after quarter, and I was performing at a high level. I got promotions, and I was doing really well. And I was like, do I want to be that guy, that gal in the corner of the office? Like, do I want to be a VP GM or a sales director? Do I want to be doing this for 15, 20, 25 years? And I'd have conversations with people in that position, and one time they straight up asked me, they were like, Christian, what do you want to do? Like, one of the guys did. He was there for 30 years, and he asked me, and I gave him a PC answer, and I was like, no, sir, I see myself kind of, I told him what you're supposed to say. I see myself kind of growing up and following in your footsteps and moving up the company. And he's like, don't bullshit me. He's like, tell me what you really, he's like, what do you really want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And it shocked me. So like, it shocked me, and it set me back, and it really motivated me. So like, I saw it through. I saw those opportunities through. I didn't really have questions. I was successful, so I wasn't really learning as much, as you would when you're not at the top. So not that I wasn't continuing to push myself and improve, because new things always come out. But I think that was the big thing. I think giving myself the time, because I was almost there 8 years, to
Hmm.
really experience that kind of component, and then was comfortable when something new came up and just took the leap.
A popular question which I've been asked to ask you, and I think one of my students is here. He'll come shoot his shot at you later in terms of trying to get a job, but you kind of you're super confident. You were basically top at the top of your craft, and you made a career switch. That makes perfect sense. Now that you're in this position, you know how likely or what to take for like a brand new person, never been in esports. How do they even get on your radar? Like, what do they have to do for senpai to notice them and to give them like a shot? It doesn't have to be full time, it could be part time, a test, whatever.
Look, I respect and love effort, right? If you're willing, my thing is do the work. If you're willing to do the work and you show up every day with a mindset of how do I get better, and you can find a way to communicate and get in touch with me because of social, like I'm on all platforms, so you can definitely get DMs over to me on a platform. You can send me a message on LinkedIn, and if you can showcase what you've accomplished and been like, hey, these are the steps that I've taken, these are the things I'm very serious about, this is how I think I can add value, you'll get my attention, and then I'll find a way to give value back to you to get you involved, even if it's not one of my companies, someone else's. That's what I love about esports. Esports is incredibly entrepreneurial, and because it's such a new industry and the way the video games work, it's on a cycle. So every year there's new games. With new games come new opportunities, new players, new content creators, new tournaments, new events, new websites pop up, new content has to be created. So there's always an opportunity for you. So, just if you can find something you're passionate about in this space and wait for your opportunity and just do the work, and then get in front of the right people, I think you'll have your chance.
Naive question alert. Again, I don't know as much about esports about as John or you or some of the people listening. I think about if someone wanted to break into writing for a TV, for example, right? We know that even if they don't have a job yet, they could be writing spec scripts for the kind of show they want to write for. They can take independent classes to educate themselves. Are there things people can do if they want to break into esports independently, or is it all about sort of targeting the kind of places that you would want to work and doing that social networking?
I think it's smart to always reverse engineer where you want to be and where you think you want to be. I think it's a blessing if you actually have it figured out. The younger you are, and if you actually feel like you know, then you're lucky. I didn't. It was right in front of me. I was a lifelong gamer. I love games. I was always discouraged from video games from my parents. It's a typical cliche story. So I'm not a developer. I'm not an artist. So I like your normal jobs at a publisher or studio really didn't align with my BD kind of sales revenue focus at a young age. It's hard to get those roles. So it was right in front of me, and I just was like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to get a chance. Like I'm not gonna be able to get hired. So it missed me. It missed me. But if you are aligned early on and this is where you want to be, reverse engineer it, and then think of the steps you can take. If you can create content, then create content. Nothing stops you, whether or not it's YouTube, TikTok, social platforms, Twitch, to start creating content. Or if you don't want to be a content creator, work with one. Provide services and find a content creator that you can partner with, right? Everybody wants to be a creator. Everybody's trying to produce content. So help, participate, manage the stream, manage their YouTube, create assets for them. If you want to be a BD or sales guy, say, hey, I see you have a successful YouTube channel. You're a great content creator. Can I help bring you deals? Can I go pitch you to brands and try to get you opportunities? You can start very small and be successful. There's tons of opportunities. Every creator is honestly, Veronica, to like connect it with traditional Hollywood, because you brought up writing. Every single creator is almost practically a production company. Every streamer is a production company. They're operating a channel, and they're producing content, every single week. Sometimes anywhere from 30 to 80 hours a week of content. Some streamers are crazy and they're streaming a ton. And that's regular programming, and thousands of people tune in to watch them every single day, just like you would on your linear television, or like when we were kids, you're watching TBS, CBS, ABC or something. So around that ecosystem, naturally, there's a ton of opportunities.
Totally. I realize it's kind of retro to say, write a spec script and submit it for the sitcom that you want to write for, when really these days it's more like pick up your cell phone, film yourself and your friends doing your improv. Totally different landscape.
Another thing I find interesting is, just to work in quote unquote esports is really like that term can mean a lot of things. I think your career is interesting because yeah, I get it. You're sales and BD, but you've also had you've built this facility with Thunder Gaming, and also you were the commissioner of the World Series of Esports. Like, I wasn't too familiar with that. Can you talk more about the WSOE role?
Yeah, yeah. So after opening the venue at Thunder in LA, was asked to come over and end up becoming the commissioner running an esports league called the WSOE. And this was funded and started by the same company that created World Series of Poker. So what poker was as a new multimedia for them back in the day when poker was really booming on ESPN, a decade ago, they looked at esports as being the new wave for digital media for them. And they had an incredible studio in the middle of the Vegas Strip, right in front of the Aria, my favorite hotel. And we were putting up $100,000 a month, putting prize pools and for all the major games and flying in people from all around the world, hosting different tournaments and events, and getting great viewership, and people were tuning in. So we're building a new IP and a third party league, working with game publishers and platforms.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. It gets back to my question about sort of what is the day to day, what is the minute to minute actually like? Again, naive question alert. Are you on your phone? Are you on your computer versus being on site and traveling all over the place? Are you just playing games all the time?
I'm embarrassed. You asked me, am I on my phone? So I get a message from my iPhone. It curses me every single week, and it pops up and it tells me my average screen time.
Oh gosh.
You have to go first. You guys have to go first. You tell me your average screen time, as I'm embarrassed to say it. I literally cringe. I never said my screen time out loud, but I cringe every time I see it.
I'm gonna get really personal here. I often fall asleep with like what with the TV on in my phone, but I'm listening to it in my headphones, so my screen time is really inflated. My numbers are inflated because it's happening at night while I'm asleep. So I can't really answer that question with any accuracy. But go ahead,
I
John.
We'll take.
I just checked, and mine is 3 hour and 47 minutes, but half of that time
That's
is
it?
in maps because I always drive with Google Maps. So let's just
That's
say
it.
like 2 hours for me.
No, not bad. My screen time on my iPhone is 9 hours. So my screen time is 9 hours on my iPhone, and I'm sitting in front of 3 monitors, and I work on my office. I'm on my computer all day. That's
Okay,
how bad it
confession.
is.
Mine is also 9 hours, but some of it's while I'm asleep. Some of it's while I'm asleep.
You,
So I'm right there.
you didn't want to say it. You didn't want to say it, Veronica. I can't believe you. You dodged the question. You were like,
I did. Oh, but you're not alone.
oh man. Oh, it is rough. It's rough. So like my screen time's up there, but I'm pretty much a cyborg, right? Like I'm literally connected. That's what the life is like, and that's what these companies and honestly, I always say it, like my partners pay for this. This is what my company paid for. This is like part of the value you get is I'm always on and I'm always connected. And there's benefits to it. Being an entrepreneur, like in the middle of the day, I can go run and do something during the day because I'm not a hourly clock in and a clock out person. But on weekends or late at night or taking a call at 3 in the morning, you got to do what you got to do. So definitely an always on and connected approach, Veronica, and working through the different opportunities that present themselves and challenges that pop up in this very young industry.
Is it more like working at odd hours or working on your own terms, or is it more like just living the job and doing it all the time?
Well, there's deadlines, right? Like at the end of the day, there's cycles and there's deadlines like anything. You've got expectations and partners and contracts of things that you're committing to, whether or not it's with a platform like Twitch is one of our number one partners. We've got a tier one partnership with them, and we have to deliver for them based on the terms of our agreement. And we have to make sure we do that. And that's working with all of our content creators. That's working with our production team, creating shows and content that the community would find compelling and interesting to tune in. So just from a traditional production, content, talent management component with all those humans and personalities and everything that comes with that from a legal, accounting, and HR, a media, a PR, a comms, a social media point of view, they're all these facets that are all interconnected. But then you got to manage the relationships with sponsors and brands, right? And then you're managing the publisher relationships. And then you got to be forward thinking and thinking about where you're going to go next. 3 to 5 years down the road and try to stay ahead of competition and innovate. And then you throw in the software and tech play that we added. So then you're working with devs and trying to build a new product that could be compelling and whatnot. So all of that stuff is, I live by my calendar, right? My calendar's full. I probably on average 10 items on my calendar every single day. Those could be calls, those could be meetings, and I usually try to avoid large meetings if I can, and try to have time to actually, what I say again, do the work. And that's like that computer time to actually bang out some stuff: emails, contracts, presentations.
Let
Just
me
curious, do you have a
switch.
super? Oh, go, John. Go.
Oh no, no, you
I
go
was gonna
first.
ask a stupid. No, it was a stupid question. I was gonna ask him like if his to-do list is really, really long, or if it's really short and prioritized. I told you it was a stupid question.
It's a great question. So I use two things. Either I use my iPhone Notepad, if because I'll just be at the gym, or I'll be out and about somewhere, and I'll be like, I'll remember, and I'll just drop it in my Apple Notepad, and then I'll just save it, or I'll actually write down pen and paper. Not crazy, or I don't use like a mood board or like one of those things on the computer. Like I just keep it simple. I keep it simple, so it's on my mobile, so it's accessible anywhere, and then I have a pen and paper.
So I wanted to change topics and ask you both about esports.gg, and then I wanted to bring some other folks here into the conversation. So, I had a chance to hear the story from you. It's just super impressive. I don't think I don't think a lot of people know about the story. So can you share what your plans are for esports.gg and how long have you been cooking up this idea?
Yeah, you know better than anybody, man. It's been like, what, 5 years? I think just been grabbing the assets one by one secretly. Almost like the Infinity Stones. And I'm such a nerd. It's also how I built this company. So like each platform. So getting esports on Instagram was first. But then was able to get the esports on Twitter. And then while I was doing the deal for the domain and the website esports.gg, when that was available, I was doing a deal with College Humor and Dorkly because they had the Facebook esports. So we were just able to get them one by one, just quietly. Got them and then started building last year when ESPN pulled out of esports. And I was like, look, you know what? I want a media company that can tell our industry stories. And how do I bring in the best people that I can from across esports and make them owners in this business, get them involved. So we brought people from every major platform, Twitch, from Twitter, from Snapchat. We brought people from game publishers. We brought somebody from every major tournament organizer, ESL, StarLadder, Faceit, to all be involved with creating this product to tell our stories. And then we brought in awesome, talent, hosts, commentators, retired pro players that were incredibly successful, kind of like LeBron did with Uninterrupted or Players Tribune, and are having them tell stories and communicate with the audience directly. So we're not relying 100% on just pure journalists. It's a bit of a hybrid approach, giving people who I feel like have been a big part of building this industry a platform.
That is awesome.